Without a shadow of a doubt, it's the drunkest show in social media history. I want to welcome you to another edition of the War Zone. I got my good friend Donovan Saadiq in the building. The Queen, Demetra, Kaye. And tonight we got the top cop in Houston. The top cop in Houston gonna sit down with the top OG in Houston. And we gonna talk about it tonight. Chief Art Acevedo is live in the War Zone tonight. It's going down, man. Get a seatbelt. This gonna be better than the Texas Cyclone. Say, man, I want to welcome you to the War Zone. And, man, as usual, I always start off saying the same thing. Without you guys, we would not be able to do none of this. So I want to thank you for everything that you do for the War Zone and supporting us every single night. But tonight we got the top cop in the city. In the city, one of the top cops in the country, according to the data. But tonight he get to sit down with the Queen, Donovan Saadiq, and the top gangster in the city. And tonight we're gonna go in. So we're gonna do this the way that we do it. You can ask your questions. Donovan is gonna work the comments. So we'll get these questions out as fast as we can. But I'm gonna be honest with y'all, we can't ask every question because we got our own questions too. But we just waiting for him to come back. But I will say this here: he's at an event. I know about the event. It's a real event. Over there at NRG with all the pastors, and they screaming for justice for George Floyd, but I don't hear them screaming for justice for them people that done died up in Houston. So we waiting for him to pop back in. And I'm gonna turn this over to Demetra, and he should be back in a second. We just had him in here. What's going on, D?
Everything. Oh, gotta mute. Yeah, so everything is going on. As you guys just heard, the chief is in the building. He is at an event, so I'm not sure why he popped out, but he is going to pop back in. So he is here, live and in living color. And so I hope you guys stay tuned for the whole hour. We are going to ask as many questions as
back.
Here he is.
I'm back. Sorry.
It's okay. Uh-oh. So how you doing this evening?
I'm great. How's everyone doing?
We're doing well. So I'll give it back to you, Gary.
Well, Chief, I know you're a busy man, I get to work with HPD a lot with my program, and I can honestly say that, if he didn't make it last week, he wasn't feeling well. But, the chief always answers my calls. HPD, no matter when I call on them or they call on me, we work good together. So tonight we got him in here. But Chief, I got some ground rules. Yes, tonight we ain't doing no Harlem Shuffle. We ain't doing no wobble. And we ain't doing the Cupid Shuffle tonight. We just gonna stick to the program and we gonna get down to it. So Demetra, you get the first question, my friend. Go for it.
Well, I'd like to say, first of all, thank you so much for showing up. I know you're a very busy man, and so we appreciate your presence here. So I'll just, just come right out the box. Why do you, in your opinion, think that it's so hard for Black people in America to get justice, especially when it comes to being murdered by police officers?
Well, I think that it's a part of a broader issue in our country with disproportionality and systemic problems, not just in policing, but in socioeconomics and education. It's part of our history, but I can tell you that I really believe that there's been an awakening in our country like we've never seen before. When I see organizations and like NASCAR talking about getting rid of the Confederate flag because they understand that the Confederate flag for people of color, especially African American community, is kind of like the equivalent of the Nazi, the swastika for Jews. And so if you'd have told me that would have happened 4 weeks ago, I would say absolutely not. But I think that there's an awakening, and we're going to come out the other end with a much better outcomes for all communities.
Donovan?
Okay, hey, Chief. Thank you for coming on the show. We know you are a very, very busy person. I did my homework on you a little bit. You started your law enforcement career right here in Southern California.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you were the top CHP cop before you moved on to Austin, I believe.
Yeah, I was a chief for the California Highway Patrol, but there's commissioners above you that are appointed by the mayor. I mean, by the governor. But I was a chief, which is the highest civil service rank.
Right, absolutely. But I just had this one question. In your career, since you started in Southern California, and we know LAPD is very notorious for, what's going on. You've had a very good career. I want to know, Chief, what implementations have you instituted by executive order or what you can do to address
Okay,
these
they're
police
calling me up to
shootings?
the stage. I'll be right back. They're calling me to the stage. You guys,
Got it.
sorry, man. I'll be
That's
right
all
back.
right.
Do
Go
not
ahead.
sweat on me.
Got it. Hey,
Don't bring up my
I think that question was a little hot for him. What do you think?
They had that old fake NRG thing. Well, they putting see, I'm gonna tell y'all something. Y'all gotta understand the game. You know, last night or the night before, you had the brother get killed in Atlanta, right? So all of a sudden, and they do it every time in Houston. Here come the Negro pastors. What I told y'all, they do it every single time. They'll parade them out because they don't want nothing to pop off in the city of Houston. You see what I'm saying? They don't want nothing to pop off in the city. So he's at that event, and these are all the Negro pastors that don't do nothing to the community. I'm gonna put that out there. Don't do nothing to the community. And of course, his boss is there, the mayor, Lee Vester Turner.
I'm back.
All right. That that
Called
that
me
was quick. That was
prematurely. I have to
quick.
go back.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi.
No,
Well,
no
let me
problem.
just
But that
say, I remember the question. What have I done? Well, first of all, I've been a change agent my entire career. Anyone that follows my career will. All you gotta do is Google a lot of things where you've seen I've been fighting to make sure that the good police officers that I still believe that the vast majority of cops, and I think most of even our biggest critics will tell you that the majority of cops are good people. They deserve leadership that holds the bad cops accountable, that weeds them out so they don't rot the entire organization. And so what I've done here in Houston through my career, I've created special investigations units that are specially trained to investigate cops. One of the things that we don't talk about because nobody, it's Houston, there's a lot going on, is that there's always the perception that no matter how bad or inappropriate an option involved shooting or use of force is, that the officers always get away with it. They're not held accountable. And what I love about our department is that we've actually charged several officers after officer-involved shootings with aggravated assault. We've charged out of the Harding Street with the DA's help. We charged an officer with murder. But what I love about the cops in Houston is that they come and they thank the administration for actually getting rid of the bad apples. And I think that's a big change. But the most important piece for us is actually to set the expectations, make the rules of engagement very clear to everybody. Like in our department, I tell my cops, if you lie, you die. Go ask anybody at Houston PD. I'll buy you lunch. If you ask an officer, if you lie, what happens? If they don't tell you you die, I will buy you lunch. But I will need the officer's name because I will have to go seek them out to make sure they get it together. But it's about being holding people accountable. It's about supporting them when they do right, and it's about holding them accountable when they do wrong, and it's about setting high standards. What happens is that too many departments, the chiefs will say, well, if you lie, we're going to fire you, but then officers lie and they don't fire them. The chiefs will say, or the organization will say, if you abuse people, we're going to get rid of you. Then the officer will abuse somebody and they don't get rid of them. So it's not just about the process. It's not just about the systems. It's about walking the talk, whether people are watching you or not. And I think that we've had a history of that here in Houston since I've been here in other departments.
Chief, I got the question. First simple question. How long have you been chief of police in the city of Houston?
3.5 years. I got here on November 30th, 2016. The Mayor Turner offered me the job in the middle of November, and then he got me here at the end of November. So about 3.5 years now.
Okay, so 3.5 years. I'm gonna take your 3.5 years, and I'm gonna separate it from 30, from the number 30. That is the number of years Gerald Goins has been terrorizing African American communities through. And when I speak on some, Chief, I already know the facts. I've done my homework. He's been able to terrorize communities with the help of his lieutenant, Marsha Todd. So when this thing happened, you've been here 3.5 years. So what you're telling me, in 3.5 years, you had no idea that Gerald Goins was as corrupt as he ended up being?
No, but I would say that a little bit over 2 years after I got here, we had the Harding Street incident, the Harding Street raid, and what people they say, why do you get so defensive? Well, let me tell you why. Because we can't have it both ways. You can't. You have a chief that actually went to the scene, was there probably within 15 minutes, 14 minutes. I saw some body language I didn't like, and I'm telling you this here because I'll say it in court, I'll say it anywhere else. And from that, we took actions that led to the uncovery of what we found. And at the end of the day, he reared his head. I don't want to talk too much about him because I don't want a change of venue from his lawyer who's already talked about it. But he reared his head, and the first time he reared his head with me, we got rid of him. And he's now charged with murder. So I think that tells you what might have happened or not happened for 30 years certainly didn't happen with this administration. We took care of business the second that we had an opportunity to do so.
Well, you hang out in some upper echelon company, the mayor and all them good people that work city government. And I'm wondering how you guys feel today, having to stand on the stage and want justice for George Floyd when we got 2 dead innocent white people that we ain't got justice for. We got 7 dead bodies on the ground in the last 2 months that we ain't got justice for. So I'm trying to figure out, do city government even give a damn about these dead people in the city of Houston? Because George died in Minneapolis, and we paying more attention to Minneapolis than we paying to the city of Houston.
Well, but I think if you look at the circumstances under which the last 6 officer-involved shootings that we've had, they're very different circumstances. Just about everybody in our last 6 were armed. We've shown the video to, I think, 4 families now that have actually gotten to see all the videos that we've had. So it's not whether or not we've had 6 shootings. It's on the totality of the evidence and the facts. Were they reasonable? Were they objectively reasonable? Were they lawful? And I think when all the facts come out, I put a lot of them out there, but when everything else comes out, I think that the community and the families will say that they're objectively reasonable. Let me just say this about the Tuttle and the Harding Street. The charges have been filed, murder charges have been filed, but here's the truth about Harris County. That court system is so backed up here. We have 500 murders, 500 people charged with murder. They're going 3 to 5 years without a trial. Now, I don't know how that is justice because the Constitution says we're supposed to have speedy trials, right? That's one of their constitutional rights. 3 to 5 years with murder charges over your head. That's not right for the victim. That's not right for the suspect. That's not right for the suspect's family. And that's not right for the community. We have got to address what's going on in our court system here in Harris County, that everything's mucked up, because I think that we end up getting the charges on the Harding Street. It's been close to a year now since we've had the charges, and there's been no movement. But that's the sad part. That's not the exception. That's the rule here in Harris County. That's because I don't think we have a properly staffed courthouse. We need more judges. We need more defense attorneys. We need more courts, and people need to get their day in court so the community can get their answers that they richly deserve.
Well, I know you can't talk about Hardy too much, but based on the information that I've obtained, it seems like the DA can't pursue the case because the Houston Police Department will not release the ballistics reports because it may show death. So, I
No,
mean, I think we're going to
that's
end
not.
up getting a conviction in Minnesota before we get one in Texas.
Yeah, I don't. Hey, Monroe, that's not accurate. We've given them everything. They're conducting their own separate investigation. The FBI is conducting their own separate investigation. And I think if you talk to the DA's office and you talk to the FBI, they're going to tell you that the Houston Police Department Special Investigations Unit that was tasked with the criminal investigation that led to the murder charges has been very cooperative. So I would challenge you on that. I would ask you to actually reach out to the DA and to the special agent in charge of the FBI, Perry Turner, who will confirm that we've given them everything that they've asked and been completely cooperative.
So I want to state along the Tuttle case. I saw a video conference, I guess it was a couple weeks back, and he had the family members of the victims come up. And all of them, I want to say all of them said that they did not want the videos released. Now, as I watched it on Facebook, I was reading the comments. Lots of people were like, they seemed coerced. So they probably were paid to say that. Also, within that same video conference you gave, you said that you didn't really agree with releasing the videos because sometimes those videos end up on snuff websites. And so I thought that was very interesting. Like, are we really seeing these police videos of murdering people? Because that, to me, that's what it is. Are we really liking them to a snuff video? And for those of you guys who've never seen a snuff video or don't know what they are, they're pretty horrific. And so that's two-part question. Is that how you see some of these police videos? And I'm just going to ask you, were any of these people coerced?
Oh, God, no. Are you kidding? I mean, there's no such thing as secrets in government. That's why I always tell people, man, if two people know, it ain't a secret. I mean, Adrian Medeiros, who's the brother of Audric Medeiros, the gospel singer that was killed in the officer-involved shooting, he saw the videos, and that same night, he actually went and posted his own Facebook post about it. So one of the things that we're doing at the national level is that we need to come up with what are the rules, and we need consistency across all 18,000 police departments, because the problem is what happened in Minneapolis has impacted every city and every state. We cannot have 18,000 ways of doing business. Now, let me tell you what my practice has always been as a police chief. When the DA's done, and the other part is that you got to talk to the prosecutors too, because it's not, the prosecutors will ask us not to release videos many times. What my practice has been in my previous department and in Travis County is that when the grand jury process was over, if there was a no bill, which means no charges were filed, we released all the videos, we released everything. But here's what really got me thinking about this, and I would ask you to go look at this name, David Joseph Jr. David Joseph was a 17-year-old kid that was shot and killed in Austin by an officer who shot him twice. Naked, totally naked. The young man ran towards my officer. Me? 4 minutes? Okay, they're calling me. I gotta go on the stage a minute. And then as he ran towards the officer, got to about 8 to 10 feet, he shot him twice, and sadly, this young man died. I fired that officer. The union did a vote of no confidence. I remember telling them I went to 30, 90-minute roll calls across the city back in March of 16. What I told them is I could care less about their vote of no confidence because I'm their police chief. I ain't running for prom king. But what's made me really think about this is two things. One, a 17-year-old young man, you can still see him right now. Right now, you can see him on the internet for generations to come. And then you see some of the comments that different people that want to make disparaging comments about him and about whoever, right? It just promotes ugliness. So when I got here to Houston, a couple of families before these last few have asked to see videos. And even before we changed the law, we even got them to see the videos. The sad thing is that after Mr. Medeiros, Mr. Chavez's widow that was at that press conference, Mrs. Cook, which is the little old lady that was murdered, stabbed to death, Monroe, that's one of them that stabbed the little old lady, 80-year-old lady to death in broad daylight at the Walgreens. Then the officer gets flagged down, then he comes after the officer. So it's not about whether we had 6 or not. It's about what happened in those 6. And then it's about, we need to think about, does everybody need to be out there and your family member be out there for generations of that family to see? So those are the things we need to consider. But I am not opposed to releasing them. But I think that everybody's voice needs to be considered. Now, one of the things I like about what Mayor Turner's doing, he's putting together a work group with community members. If you want to be on it, you should probably send me an email, and I'll send it over to City Hall so we can actually have this debate and come up with some rules that maybe will be the model for the rest of the nation.
My city council member already recommended me for that task force. I already work with you guys. There's nobody better that could sit on that task force, but I'm pretty sure that the mayor will never pick me anyway.
Well, I'm going to look clear. What? Okay, 5 or more 6 minutes. Okay, before I go on there. If I leave to go give this big speech, if you want to keep going, don't give up. I'll come back once I give I think it's a 1-minute speech. That's it.
Well, Chief, let me ask you something. Defunding the police. Now, yeah. me and you sat in the same room, and a lot of the stuff as far as defunding the police, that's stuff that we already do, like bridging the gap between the officers and the kids in the community. That's what defunding the police means. So my question is, why does the Houston Police Department need almost $1 billion, $2 billion when we got 60 police agencies in the surrounding area of the city of Houston? We don't need more cops, we need more resources.
Well, because Monroe, unfortunately, a lot of those police agencies aren't doing much in the city of Houston. They're doing their own thing. They're patrolling and getting paid, double dipping to patrol rich neighborhoods. And when you talk to people that live and are impacted by crime and violent crime, that disproportionately it's communities of color, they don't want less police. They want less bad police. They want good policing. And I think it's a false equivalence that why should the black and brown community and poor communities, including poor white communities, have to choose between being safe and secure and having the services, the mental health services, the regular health services, education, economic opportunities? Because we should demand the same level of service for poor people as we do for River Oaks, and kids and kids in the 3rd Ward and the Sunnyside and throughout this city should be able to play in the courtyard of their apartment complex or walk to grandma's house without being worried about being shot by some fool. And that's not what's happening in the city. And so what will happen is, look at our department, 5,300 cops. We have grown by 500,000 people, and the department hasn't grown. Our overtime budget has been cut from tens of millions down to about 11 million total. Compare that to Chicago, 13,000 cops for 248 square miles, and their overtime budget's 140 million. So the people that are going to pay the price, if all of a sudden they make you choose between what you should already have, which is good socioeconomic educational programs and good policing, they're not going to suffer. It's going to be the people that need us most. And so I'm going to demand that they not only continue to provide good police services, I'm going to demand that Washington and the state and the county and the city provide all the other social services. And I really believe if we did that, including with education, pre-K education, a generation from now, we will be able to reduce the heck out of policing budgets, because crime will absolutely go down.
Well, let me ask you this then. If you're going to demand that, I'm going to demand something on in regards to every black community in Houston. Can you stop putting them white cops in our community at night? They scary, they can't fight, and they quick to shoot us at night. So can we get some black cops in the black neighborhoods when the sun go down, please?
Well, think about it. It's not. I think there's a lot of really good white officers actually love serving in communities of color.
Can you name me a shooting where the last time in Houston a black officer killed a black person?
What's that?
Because it seems like every time one of us go down on the ground is at the hands of a white officer.
Yeah, but think about it. I mean, you just talked about Goins. That's a black officer that we know that wasn't a very good officer. What we need to do is identify bad officers, and if they're bad, people got to report them so we can hold them accountable. I can tell you that
if you report them, then you end up like Kathy Swilly, where they put a case on you and act like you done did something wrong, and then they find a reason to kick you out the department.
No, I promise you that if we have any retaliation, we will cut people's heads off. There is zero tolerance for retaliation. I just tweeted a report from when I was a whistleblower in California when John Maddox, a buddy of mine who's African American, was forced to retire at 60, and then some other people that wanted to get better benefits were able to stay. And so I want to tell you, look at that report, because you're going to see that I walked the talk. In the same way that I held my department accountable when I was not at the top, I will hold the people underneath me accountable if they do anything crazy. Do not fail to let us know when we do bad. But when the guys and women do good, we got to lift them up and report them too, so we can give them good feedback. It's not just only when we're bad that we should be hearing from the community. We should also lift up the good ones.
Right, real quick, Chief. We have a comment from Erin Toberman. She says, we have enough police officers. Kinder institution said so. They don't work together. Why doesn't ART work with other LEO agencies to not duplicate services?
You know what? That is a great question. And that was a Kinder Institute. I believe in the consolidation of government. I believe in metropolitan government. The problem is because people want to have local control of their own little fiefdom. That's why we have 18,000 police departments. It doesn't make sense. There's no consistency. They don't talk to each other. When all this COVID stuff, every Monday, we held a conference call with all the executives around here. And I can tell you, I run the biggest department with the most things to do. Finner, Slicker, and I were on that conference call every Monday. Now you go ask Finner how some of these other leaders, how many times they were on the call. Zero. That's the problem. We've got to have consolidation, but that is a long-term solution that requires a lot of work that's beyond our control. Are you calling me yet?
Demetra?
So, speaking of bad cops, and I mentioned a couple of times. Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. You can hear me? Okay. So, like I said, speaking of bad cops per se, Gerald Goings, in addition to, let's say, someone like Derek Chauvin, they have a rap sheet, I guess, of doing a lot of misdeeds to the citizens. Why is it that cities would rather pay hundreds of thousands, even into the millions in lawsuits, opposed to getting rid of some of these bad officers? We know that Derek Chauvin had 18, 19 cases of misconduct, 3 shootings and 1 murder. And, there's plenty of lawsuits paid on his behalf. I don't know if it was Gerald Goings, but there was one police officer that the city of Houston paid the guy's family $200,000 because he got beat up in his driveway. So why is it that they're keeping these cops opposed to getting rid of them and paying all of that money that could go somewhere else?
Well, I can just tell you in the last 3.5 years that I've been here with this team of leaders, there's been about 160 cops that were here when I got here that are gone. That wasn't by their own choice. So that's 160 officers. There's been probably about a dozen have been charged with crime since we've been here. So I can't speak to the past, but I can speak to the future. And I can speak to the culture that we're creating as an organization where we want to hold our bad apples accountable, the bad officers accountable, especially now that I think people are probably starting to see 18. You ain't a cat. How do you have 18? And then the problem when you look at some of these collective bargaining agreements across the country, these the union contracts provide too much protection to bad cops instead of providing protection to the good cops at a cost of the good cops and the cost of the community. So one of the things that we're looking at as we testify before the Congress and the legislature is to take a close look to make sure that contracts aren't so onerous in terms of discipline that the unions are in charge of who stays and goes instead of the administration, which can be a problem. Now, there is a balance though, because don't forget that one of the reasons the police officers were given protections, in a lot of these small towns, the police were used like an arm of the mayor or of the council, and they were actually during the civil rights era and the era of slavery, that they were an absolute tool for the politicians. So we got to be careful that we protect them from the politicians, but give the administration, the chiefs, that you all can hold me accountable, the authority to actually hold bad officers accountable. Are they calling?
You ready?
Oh, ready for me. They're ready for me. I'll be back.
Okay.
I don't know how long I'll be. Should be like no more than 5 minutes. Sorry, guys.
Go ahead, Demetra.
Is this mine?
So you guys, hang on in there. He said the speech is going to be about a minute long. We're going to come back and, hopefully get to some of the bottom of the questions that you guys all have. Now, of course, we won't be able to get to them all, but we are doing our best. I would say it's not always easy because sometimes people know what they're going to say. And so we're trying our absolute best to get some of these questions answered. And so thank you guys also for hanging in there. So hopefully he'll be right back. I see some of the comments you guys are saying that he's dancing around. Well, it's kind of par for the course, right? He's not going to just answer the questions the way we want him to, and it's unfortunate, But
some questions he can't answer. I know how to get questions about Goins answered, as long as I'm not going too deep up in that case. Because when you dig too deep, he can't answer those questions. So some people may think we don't want to ask those questions, but I already know he can't answer them. So why waste time asking a question that he can't answer?
Right. And so, again, Donovan is monitoring the comments. And so if he sees one that is outstanding.
Well, you got to remember, too, I mean, everybody's throwing in the questions so doggone fast. I was able to get one, that last question that I asked him. So I'm going to do my best to kind of keep going. So.
Right. I was just looking at some of the comments. And so, yeah, he'll find some, that hasn't been answered or asked already. And maybe one that's like, that's a good question. So we're looking for those. But I hope that we are doing you proud. And you guys see that we are trying to do your best. Y'all know Gary ain't scared. Y'all know he ain't scared at all. And I think you guys have seen Donovan and I long enough on here to know we ain't scared either, but you don't want to, beat people over the head per se. You want them to feel like, all right, this is not so bad.
Yeah, but Houston has it's a big police force. I know he has a lot of responsibility put on him, but again, he's supposed to be accountable to you guys out there for the actions of that police department. So. We're going to work as best we can. So,
right. And so we have roughly about a half an hour, give or take, when he comes back. He said the speech is only a minute. So, he's hopefully he'll come right back. But I hope you guys are having a good time. Some of you guys I saw are eating some popcorn. Save some for me because I have not eaten since like 11 o'clock today, my time. So, yeah, please save me some popcorn, but hopefully we'll get some of the answers, questions that you have answered.
Yeah, well, a lot of the questions, and don't get me wrong, you guys, a lot of your questions, it's just like the general said, you really can't ask that because he's really not going to answer it because it's a little too much to get into, and it might prejudice future cases and things that are in the judicial system right now. But we're going to do our best. So, but I'm reading them. Man, you guys are in some deep stuff. I mean, it's crazy. It is crazy. This is better than a episode of CSI or one of those ones,
Well,
I know the committee that he's talking about that they're putting people on. My council member just called me the other day, got my information to put me on there. But like I said earlier in the interview, the things about defunding the police, these are things that we already do with them. And we doing it with no money. So I know it can be done to where you don't need additional money to do it, but we do need a budget. But I'm talking about the committee. My people already sought my information. Who better to put on the committee? I'm already there. I'm already doing the work. But a lot of times when they build these committees, they go get these paper people. That's what I call them. They go get these paper people who just want to be yes men. No, I want to be Charles Barkley, and you can be Michael Jordan, because I'm going to tell you you're garbage. Best friends or not, I'm going to tell you you're garbage. That's just how I am. So, I mean, either we want true change, put the right people on the right committees, or keep putting the wrong people on the right committees, and we get nothing done.
Or what you guys can do is what a lot of towns are thinking about doing. Contract your police department out to the sheriffs and have them hold it down for a while and rebuild your police department. Get these names of these officers.
The sheriff department got accused of choking a Latino brother out in the Dennis in Baytown. What, you gonna shift from one killer to the next, huh?
So what I do want to ask you guys, and this might be a controversial question in light of, but is there anything right that the chief is doing? Is he doing anything right? And I don't know that answer, which is why I'm asking you guys, is there anything he's doing right?
I think he's you know, I've never seen an elected official, let alone an appointed official, give you the access to him that he gives us to him. You know, I can call this man on his cell phone. You know, and it's not like he doesn't know who's calling, because he got me already logged in. So, you know, there are good things that he's doing. I just think that he came in the door. He may have had the right intentions, but he fell into the Houston Police Department that's been corrupt for over 40 years. So, I mean, sometimes when you in over your head, you just fall in line.
So I'm waiting to see some of these comments of if he's done anything right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, one of the questions one of the people asked was, I love Demetra's question. I have a general question about the unions. Do the unions protect the officers from financial responsibility in these lawsuits? Can officers bear any financial responsibility for their actions at all? I think that's a good question.
Say the union is separate from the chief and the department. Little Opie Taylor over there, Joe Grimaldi, he don't care what a cop do. When Gerald Goins them murdered them two people, they was on the news calling these people heroes, calling these cops heroes. Then he put a target on the activist's back. Dude, we ain't had nothing to do with that. And that's when it burnt me up. Grimaldi is down like 4 flat tires with any cop that's crooked, because if you check his personnel file, you'd wonder why he got a gun on his hip. Ask him why they ran him up out of New York, Mr. President of the Houston Police Department Union. Excessive force, Joe.
And you know that's bad if New York ran him out, because New York, that's the whole different animal when it comes to police brutality and, you know, police corruption. They ran him out of there. Whew, that says a whole lot.
He will protect these cops with everything in his power. And I would love for him to come sit down with us and talk to us as to why. You know, because, dude, I mean, I get it. You got some good cops. Every department has good cops. There's no questions about that. But the question is if we're running into, okay, Chief is back. All right, Chief. I'm gonna start with my question real quick. Now we just saw the chief of police in Atlanta resign because of what happened the other night. I'm gonna put you on the hot seat. You already got 6 in 2 months. If we have another officer involved shooting and it's not right and the officer is bad, would you be willing to resign your position?
No, I'm not a quitter. I'm not going to quit. Are you kidding me? And leave my department to somebody else that's not going to run out of 160 cops, and leave my department to somebody else that when Gerald Goins does the wrong thing after 30 years, your words, not mine, of not doing the right thing, is going to let him continue to go another 30 years? No, I don't fight. I don't walk away from a fight. This is not about the numbers. This is about right and wrong. And I'll tell you right now, it's time for us to all speak the truth. We have charged police officers, this chief, with our special investigations unit, out of involved shootings. Nobody's talking about that. We've charged officers for misusing the taser. Nobody's talking about that. You see, it's a two-way responsibility to speak the truth. Just like the media will tell you they had 6 shootings, people of color, but they won't tell you that guns were involved. They won't tell you the 2 African-American males down there on the street, they were being detained, saw a guy come up with a metal bar and start hitting the officer over the head. They won't tell you that. Why? Because the truth doesn't matter to some. They want to tear us down. So, look, if I do wrong and you call me out because I did wrong and I knew it was wrong, absolutely, I'll walk away. But I ain't walking away from a fight. That's not the way I was raised. And I got news for everybody. I'm a person of faith. The good Lord's the only one's going to open doors and close doors for people of faith. So the day that God's done with me here, like he was done with me in Austin, like he was done with me in California, he will close this door and open another one.
I'm gonna tell you what I told City Council. I got love for you, Chief. You know, it's how we do it. I'm gonna tell you what I told City Council a year and a half ago. Y'all are one incident away from this whole country popping off. You saw it with George. But one more, I don't think it's a city in America that's going to be able to handle these youngsters when they get loose. So it's very, very important that we take this very, very serious. Because you can only kick a dog so many times before it turn around and bite you. And contrary to popular opinion, I don't care if it was you sitting here, the chief of LA, Seattle. Man, y'all can't handle these youngsters when they get loose, man. It's too many youngsters. They got the firepower. They can go blow for blow with you with whatever you pack it in your cars. So my question would be to you and the mayor, when are we going to take this serious? When are we going to do some true reform? And when are we going to get these officers off the force that mean the community no good?
Well, if you don't report them, and we ain't going to be able to hold them accountable. 75% of our disciplines are from with internal investigations that we start. So the problem is either people are not being mistreated, which I know is not true, or people aren't reporting it. People have to be the eyes and ears of the police department. Let me tell you, when bad cops are bad, it's because they think they can get away with it. If we create a culture where they know they're not going to get away with it, guess what? They're going to stand in line. Because everybody's got families. And let me tell you, when you fire a cop, it's not just them that suffers, it's their family. It's their kids, it's their wives, it's their husbands, it's their mother and father. But people got to know for certain that if they step out, people are going to speak up. And if people speak up and they did wrong, they're going to be held accountable. We will do our part, but the community's got to do their part. They cannot let and by the way, lift up the good ones too. It just can't be only saying that they suck, they stink, they're horrible, because then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. We want to lift up the good.
We do that in
you know there's a lot of good out there. We want to lift up the good and hold the ones that are bad accountable.
We've been doing that in the school system for like the last 2 years, where we honor your officers at lunchtime, bring them in, feed them a good meal, let them interact with the kids. No question that we do that. But I like the energy. But see, it's a question from somebody in my inbox. Why is it that the chief, when one of us do bad and we go through that court system and they let us out with them real low bills, I see you on the news and you going out. You got every right to go up. But you're asking why you don't have that same energy when one of your officers do something bad and they don't give them a high bail.
Let me tell you something. Again, I'm not going to talk about it because there's some open cases. But I have the mindset that when a police officer commits a crime, they not only violated the statute that they violated their oath of office. And there have to be consequences for that. Because if we don't hold them to high levels of accountability, including maybe not giving them low bail, what that does, when you hold them accountable and you give them that high bail, it has a deterrent effect on the next person that might step out. So don't confuse, again, my silence, because my voice is a pretty big voice. And if I speak out, it's not like Monroe speaking out. I'm actually have an official capacity that can have an impact that can move a trial from this very diverse melting pot of Harris County that's no other city like ours in this country. We're the most diverse. To East Texas or West Texas or some part of Texas that look nothing like us, and take it away from our community. And I've got to be real careful I don't do something where that ends up happening, because that would be a travesty for our city and for our jury pool.
I just asked that, and then I'll give it to Demetra, because I even noticed that, like, when the protesters went to jail, it took them 48 hours to go through the system. When Gerald Goins went to jail, he was out the back door in 30 minutes.
Yeah, no, I think that I think when it comes to, and I'll just say this for everybody, and cops are no different. I think that when someone commits a crime, nobody should be in jail because of money for low-level misdemeanors and drug offense. I think that's ridiculous. And right now, the liberal side of this community is trying to lie, saying that I'm against misdemeanor bail reform. I challenge them to show me where I've said I'm against misdemeanor bail reform, because they are lying and trying to discredit me. What I am against is people that are violent with a history of violence, cop or no cop, that go in one door, out the other, and end up shooting somebody else. I've got a problem with that, because you've got politicians that live in really nice homes and really nice neighborhoods that don't have to worry about getting shot in their yard or in the courtyard, or the kid walking down the street to grandma's house. So I'm going to continue to speak up to the best of my ability, because trust me when I say, Monroe, I'm under attack constantly, and don't kid yourselves. All those hit pieces are because they want to shut me up, but they don't get it. If they think I'm talking now, wait till I don't have to worry about this uniform and having a boss, and my only boss would be God and myself. You wait. They ain't going to like what I got to say. But I want to
just remind the mayor, when you talk to the mayor, tell him Mr. Monroe said this, and then I'm going to turn this over to Demetra. The chief and the mayor has a lot of influence. You guys really do. My influence is in the streets. So when I can tell a community don't pick up a gun and don't fire a gun, I'm a bad boy. But I can't keep telling them to do that if we ain't gonna change what the hell is really going on. Demetra, you got it, sweetie.
I understand what you're saying as far as when Gary, can you release the phone? As far as, all right, much better. So I understand what you're saying when you say, well, there's a lot of good things that police officers do as well, but they rarely get the credit for that. And I would agree with that. But to me, the things that happen on the flip side of that is so egregious. To me, it's like a man who beats his wife that says, yes, baby, I blackened both of your eyes 2 days ago, but I brought you flowers the day before that. So it's like, But I'm going to ask you this, true or false? There are a lot of KKK members in the police forces.
Tell you that there ain't people. Well, can you hear me now? Monroe, somebody keeps muting me. Is it Monroe?
No, I'm muting because that's where we're getting the feedback from. So I got to bring you back in.
Okay. There's no one that is openly KKK, but I can tell you right now, there's good and bad. And if for anyone to think that we don't have racists amongst any group would be absolutely stupidity, because there's good and bad in everything. The thing that we have to do, I can't get into somebody's heart, but when they let that heart impact their judgment or their actions, we're going to hold them accountable. 1, 2, if we identify anybody as part of any hate group, we're going to hold them accountable. And 3, again, we're going to look at what people do, because sometimes I can't control what they think, but I can control what they do. And and quite frankly, most people that have that kind of hate in their heart, sooner or later, it manifests itself in behavior, right? In actions and misconduct. And the key is to hold them accountable, regardless of what's in their heart. Right is right, wrong is wrong. And that's why we need the community's help to help us identify when we have bad officers out there. Where's my other? Oh, that's it right there.
Real quick, Chief. One question is, are you going to be running for mayor?
No.
And the other question is, Chief, why do cops stand by and allow cops to victimize citizens? The thin blue line.
Let me just say this. I've been a cop for 34 years. And Monroe, how old are you?
52.
Monroe, you're 52. I'm 55. it's important because that thin blue line is every year that passes, it's getting more and more erased. I can tell you that right now, just last week, we had a cadet in the academy that actually admitted he was an Aryan Brotherhood. This is a true story. He admitted it to another person, and guess what that person did? Reported him. So believe me when I say is there some of that still going on? Absolutely. But it's nowhere near where it was when Monroe was 17 with Finner and me, and we were running the streets as young kids. But we still got a ways to go, because at the end of the day, again, I'm a person of faith. I'm here at a prayer event at NRG. The enemy is alive and well. And this is not just in the flesh, this is in the spirit. And we've got to continue to fight to get rid of all bad cops. And we need to continue to fight to get rid of evil people that are killing young kids in our communities, communities of color, poor communities in this city and across the country, because every community and every kid should reach their full potential and not end up dead like happens way too often across our country.
Here's my question, Chief. Who voted on is taxpayer money with these body cams? When are we gonna come up with a system and just clear cut? I understand some parents don't want the video released, but at the end of the day, we're dealing with far more than that. What is it about just not releasing these videos? And it's got everybody up and on, because that's what's creating the distrust between the community and the police department.
Yeah, I think, like I said earlier, with the DA, as soon as things go through the grand jury process, she's going to end up releasing the videos, right? But we've got to have. That's why we have the ability to actually show the law changed 2 years ago, last session. We actually have the ability to show the videos to family members of the deceased that want to see it without it having to be released. But I think what you're going to see moving forward is going to be after the grand jury process or the criminal trial, they'll release it. Because if we get criminal charges, you don't want the case moved to another city, another county. That would be a travesty. Could you imagine? Think about Rodney King. I was there for the LA riots as a young acting sergeant. Rodney King got so much pretrial publicity that they moved that trial from LA County to Simi Valley. Do you know what Simi Valley looks like compared to LA County? That's like, Simi Valley? It is all not LA County. It's not diverse at all. As a matter of fact, a lot of the cops, we lived in Simi Valley. A lot of cops lived there. What happened with that trial? Everybody got acquitted. So we've got to be thoughtful, Monroe, as to when do you release something so you don't impact the criminal trial. Because the bottom line is, Houston, if the victim was in Houston, the people of Houston are the ones that should be able to weigh in a criminal trial. And that's the balance that we have to have. But I think the part of actually showing the families right away, I think that's important, because families need to know right away without having to go get a lawyer and sue to actually see the video. So that's where we're at right now. But I think you'll be seeing something from the DA. I'll talk to Kim Odd and put something out here in the next week or two.
I know you hold your officers accountable. So are you holding the officer accountable that was on the horse that ran over the lady at the protest for no reason?
I should have all those videos, but think again. Now, everybody wants to jump to conclusions. When I finish with this, I'll bring you in. You can look at all the videos we have. We should have it sometime next week. We've been real busy. Because if you look at it, he was blowing his whistle. It was loud. The officers were taking rocks and bottles right there. And I think she was backing up. But I haven't gotten to look at everything yet. I should be able to this week because things are slowed down just a little bit. But when we're done, Monroe, you can see it. We'll release it all.
Demetra?
And so I know we're approaching the 5-minute mark until we're almost done. Let me ask you, Chief, how comfortable would you be if, let's say, like with the George Floyd situation, where there were a couple of people who were standing around and they were watching all of this unfold? How comfortable would you be if a citizen intervened, perhaps pushed the cop off of him or tried to do something to save George's life? Because I can't remember who it was, but I don't know if it was a police chief or somebody somewhere said, his lawyer, I think it was, it said, well, why didn't the people that were standing around do something to try to help George? So how comfortable would you be with that?
Yeah, that was one of the officers, not Chauvin, but one of the other officers' lawyers that tried to pass it on to the community. You got to be careful because I don't want other people to get hurt. And there's a lot of crazy people in the world that they may think they're seeing something wrong when there's absolutely nothing wrong. Because let's be clear, it never looks pretty when somebody's resisting. I'm not talking about George Floyd. That was an outright outrageous act of a criminal offense. But when you're trying to overcome resistance, it never looks pretty. Trust it is. We're going to put on some training now that we have a tactical village, and we're going to bring you all. I'm going to invite you all to come out and look how we train and put you through some scenarios and simulations. But there is no pretty way to get somebody's hands behind their back if they don't want to put them behind their back. And I'm telling you, when I wrestle with my 12-year-old son, I mean, sometimes he's getting stronger by the minute. Sometimes I have to cheat a little bit like that just to get his hand back there to actually pin him down. But the best thing, I actually told somebody, asked me, some of the activists, I said, you get in their face, yell, tell them, get on 911 and say, here's where I'm at. Here's what I'm seeing. This officer is about to kill somebody, because they can call it on the radio right away and say, you need a supervisor there now. But at the end of the day, it's not the community's responsibility. It was those 3 other officers' responsibilities that should have recognized that man. By the way, I watched the video again this morning with my wife when I woke up, and even the paramedics were making me mad. There was no sense of urgency. Have you guys watched that? Everybody was moving like molasses over there. So we got some work to do, clearly. Are they calling me again over there?
Final thoughts, Donovan.
Yeah, hey Chief. Like I said, thank you again for coming on the show. I know you're very, very busy, but my one question is this: why is it that in almost every situation, just like the one that just happened in Atlanta, a 43-minute encounter, police are taught to shoot to kill? I was in the military for 24 years, and it seems like every encounter, the final outcome is shoot to kill, central plexus, or headshot. Why is it that is their first go-to?
Well, I mean, what branch were you in?
Air Force.
All right. Hey, thanks for your service. Actually, the training is more about shoot the center of mass, because if you actually look at the data, police officers, when they're in a high-stress situation, end up missing more than they hit sometimes. For every hit we have, we got a lot of misses. So they're taught to shoot center of mass. but we're also taught to shoot 2 to 3 or till the threat ends. One of the things that we want to work on here is more on de-escalation, more on creating distance. I would challenge everyone to go and Google Houston Police Chief Art Acevedo addresses Academy cadets on day 1. I challenge you and all your viewers to listen to how we train our officers in academy training on day 1. I will tweet it out later today if I remember, because from day 1, I talk about Tamir Rice. I talk about David Joseph Jr. in Austin. I talk about the importance of us conducting ourselves in a manner where it's not just the officer that goes home, but everybody's safe. I talk about taking your time, develop a plan, keeping your distance, creating distance of safety, calling for backup so you have sufficient officers to handle the situation appropriately, and using cover and concealment. And the other thing that we're going to emphasize more is on the apprehension shootings when somebody's running away. There's a different set of rules in terms of apprehending somebody using deadly force, as opposed to self-defense of self or others when you're defending yourself from serious bodily injury or death. So we're going to continue to increase that segment of training now that we've got this $11 million tactical village that was that we were blessed to have from community members to help raise the money. We're going to bring you out. We're going to show you how we train, and then we're going to put you through some scenarios. So I hope are you in LA or are you here? You're here?
LA. Yeah, LA.
Are you really?
Yeah.
I love me some LA, man. You know my homeboys.
Hey, that new Raider Stadium in Vegas.
No, man, I'm Rams all the way. Rams all the way.
Demetra.
Anyway, but hey, Monroe, you guys, when we get that up and running, would you come and check it out with us?
No problem.
All right, my
No
friend.
problem.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, my friend.
God bless you.
Well, there it is. What do you guys think?
They need more black cops in the black neighborhood when it get dark. Cause they do. I'm telling y'all, I'm there. Them white cops is scared, man. They scared to come in. Man, them people pull you over at night. You something to get anything. Just so happens, you know, I'm me. So they don't handle me like they handle the average Joe. But I mean, these folks is really scary at night, man. And we need to put more money into teaching them how to fight. When they don't know how to fight, they shoot.
Yeah, if you saw that video in Atlanta, one black man, he seems average size, handled two white cops like it was nothing, and their only demise was to shoot a man running away from them. So yeah, training in more hand-to-hand physical combat, I think, they need to invest some money doing that.
Say, man, a lot of these dudes was, you know, they used to get picked on in school. They were bullied, and now they got a badge on, and they can kick ass when they get ready, bro. So, you know, the thing is, if they gonna play this game, that's why I had to make it clear, because it seemed like, you know, Chief was like, you know, when I speak, people listen. Well, I just want you in the mayor to know something. When I speak, the streets listen. Let's get that straight, because you already know what I do. And I'm telling y'all, a lot of the stuff that y'all want implemented with the reform, we already do with my group with them. Because we don't need a cop to be the counselor. We don't need a cop to be the football coach. We just need the cop to be the cop. You see what I'm saying? And a lot of these cops, like my friend sent me an inbox, a lot of these cops on them steroids. They need to have mental health checks at least once a week. Especially the ones, quote unquote, that's going undercover.
Well, think about this. Isn't this common sense, though, 5-star? If me being in the military and being 16 years in the combat zone, and I get diagnosed with PTSD, and I have a heightened awareness, wouldn't it be common sense that cops would have the same thing? I mean, if I got to go through a psychological evaluation, shouldn't these cops have to go at least once a year?
I think it should be more than once a year, because, you know, when you think about it, they come in contact with people every single day. They deal with different issues every single day. And regardless of what we think, you got a few cops that got alcoholic problems. They got real bad personal issues that they deal with. So the first person that they can pull over, sometimes they take it out on them. It could be a woman, it could be a man. They'll take it out on them. And that's not something that none of us should have to deal with. So, you know, at the end of the day, when you ain't gonna hold your officers accountable, then it's gonna be what it needs to be. I asked a simple question about a cop on a horse. He was blowing his whistle. Man, you pull the reins on that horse gonna stop. Man, that man let that horse run into that woman, man. But see, that it didn't need to be me, because I'd have punched the hell out that horse.
Wait, look, you punch the hell out that horse, and then you be in federal prison, because animals have more rights than black people.
Get me there before they stop feeding people, because I'd have punched the hell out that horse.
Well, you know, that also goes to my question when I asked them about why would you guys see whoever rather pay so much money opposed to dealing with the corrupt police officers. And, you know, to me, it sounded like he was giving an excuse. And, you know, fortunately for the lady, but unfortunately for the taxpayers, they're going to pay her a bunch of money for what happened to her. I mean, at the end of the day, the horse running into her wasn't her fault. You know what I mean? So it's like, why not just get rid of people who are doing that? I mean, as taxpayers, we should all be pissed off that we're paying so much money due to police misconduct. I mean, how much do cops make a year?
Well, the average cop annually makes about $100,000.
And that's still a drop in the bucket compared to what they pay out in, police misconduct cases. I mean, going back to that of Derek Chauvin in Minneapolis, how much did he cost the taxpayers due to his behavior as a police officer? And so, I mean, I'm sure there's people who are willing and able to be police officers. So it's not like there's a shortage, I wouldn't think. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But perhaps people aren't mad enough.
I don't know what it's going to take for us to get in the matter. I'm just blessed to say I've never had a police interaction that affected my family in that manner. And you notice my whole demeanor changed because I'm very serious about that. Some things you can just stop. We don't have to go through some of the stuff we go through. You understand what I'm saying? The country didn't have to be burnt up. All you had to do was arrest them cops like you did anyway, a week and a half later. But see, when you didn't do it at the beginning, you really didn't want to do it at all. You were forced to do it. And it wasn't because the case mysteriously changed. It was because these youngsters got loose. And you think about it. When I said what I said to him, it could be you or any chief in the country. Y'all know y'all can't handle these youngsters. He didn't dispute it because they got just as much firepower as you. And for those out there that think they don't, I done seen some of these youngsters got cut your car in half. They know what they dealing with, but you don't need more cops. You need more resources.
No, absolutely. But one thing I want to disagree with you on, Gary, is I think it was bound to happen. I think it's, I don't go to church. You guys always say, I don't go to church.
It had to happen.
Yeah, I just think it was just time. I think it was by divine order that we are seeing what we're seeing right now, including that of Atlanta, that is on fire. It was last night.
You know why Atlanta on fire last night, Mama?
Mm-hmm.
Because they ain't put no respect on George Floyd's name.
Right. I mean, there's
right back out and did it again.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. I think it was by divine order that the powder keg finally blew up. But it would be a big mistake for us as Black people and people in general to get lullabied back to sleep by these police officers who, before I came on here, I saw somebody posted a video of a bunch of us dancing with the police. And I'm like, what's up with the dancing with the po-po? They have not shown us that they're going to change. Listen, if dancing would solve problems, I wouldn't have a problem in the world because I like to dance. I dance every day. Whether I'm eating, whether I'm cooking, I dance all the time. So that means I wouldn't have any problems dancing with the police officers. Are not going to solve our problems. We need to keep applying pressure, and it's either do or die. But I really believe that it was by divine intervention that we are witnessing what we are witnessing today.
I'm going to tell you something, man. The same energy that we have to go to the club is the same energy we need to have when it's time to vote. We hold all the cards. And when we don't step up to the plate, these people can do what they want to do. You can't blame them because we have the power to stop them. And we continuously go to the polls and we vote for the wrong people over and over and over and over. And then when it ain't working right, you want the Gary Monroes, the Travis McGee's, and all of the Ashton Woods. You want all us on the front line when your stinking ass should have went to the polls and pushed the right button. We need to fix some of this, man. Do this stuff happen in Republican neighborhoods? Do they put Black officers in Republican neighborhoods by the numbers at night?
Well, you see what happened when a Black officer got into a Republican neighborhood and murdered killed her. And I actually believe the Black officer that he thought his life was in danger. Muhammad Noor, the one that's doing 12, 13 years in Minneapolis behind shooting that white woman. So you see what happens when they get off in the white people neighborhoods and mess around and let a bullet get loose. They
you
did
go into the penitentiary. But when they put them in our neighborhoods, can y'all sing it with me? They ain't gonna do a goddamn thing.
And the funny thing is, for all those black bootlicks that are sitting in the police departments and being quiet, that brother showed you what the unions did for him. He carried the thin blue line, and it didn't take them no time. The union didn't even stand up for that guy. He got 15 years, and he said, I feared for my life. He did the same exact play line. You're gone. You're finished.
I just think we got to do the research. We got to go to the polls. Look, if you don't like the candidate that's out there, then you're going to have to do what Gary Monroe did almost 4 years ago. Fuck it, I ran. Y'all are the candidates. You know everything on Facebook. Why you don't run? We got a bunch of good, intelligent, smart people. But if you don't want to run, if you don't want to vote for the right people, then this is what we're going to continue having.
And again, I mean, he's absolutely right with that, because Demetra, 6 years ago, 8 years ago, I ran. I didn't like the candidates, and I'm still dealing with corruption till this very day. So you got to get involved. I mean, I know you don't want to, but.
And then that, really leads me to my shirt as to why I'm wearing the shirt. Hold the vote until, and I'm actually selling those shirts. I have the link up if you want it. Very reasonable price, but I wasn't even trying to plug myself really, but we need, as Black people, we need to hold the vote until we get something for it. Whether it's the Republicans that want to do something for us or it's the Democrats, we need to hold the vote. Now, I'm saying specifically on the national level, we have two devils to vote for, two evils. Right, so we're being told we need to be to force the vote for the lesser of two evils. I'm telling you right here, and I've said it before. I'm not voting for the lesser of two evils. I'm not going, choose which master I'm going to serve. Now I want them to do something for me. I want to actually say, you know what? Well, with my vote, I got reparations. I got freedom, justice, and equality for Black people with my vote. I don't want to keep going in the booth and saying, oh, well, I did it for my ancestors. My ancestors died for the right to vote. No, they didn't. They died so you could get something for that vote. And I want you guys all watching, stop lying on our ancestors. They would be appalled and roll over in their grave if they knew that we keep going into that booth and not getting anything but a saxophone, rendition on Arsenio Hall, or a candidate going into the church and eating fried chicken with us. We always, as Black people, need to go in that booth and say, what's in it for me if I give you my vote?
Donovan, finish it up.
Like I said, they say that this election is very pivotal. It is pivotal at your local elections, your senators, your congressmen, your city council, your judges. That is where it's pivotal. Bush versus Gore in 2000 showed you that your vote means nothing on the national level. Hillary versus Trump, your vote means nothing. And as long as you guys keep buying into this narrative that, oh, I voted for the president, nobody cares. Did you vote for that racist judge that's sentencing the kids in your jurisdiction to prison for stealing an ice cream? That's where your vote matters, and you got to get involved there, because what happens at that city council, what happens at that school board affects you directly. That's where it's pivotal, and we've got to stop falling for the banana in the tailpipe and getting in arguments with race soldiers. Oh, I'm Trump, I'm Trump, I'm Trump. Well, you go on ahead and be Trump. It don't matter. Locally, vote locally, and vote smart, and vote your interests.
I want to try something this week, Demetra. Let's devote the week to our fans. If you've had a negative interaction with a police officer and you feel like you've been racially profiled and you want to come on the show, inbox us. We want regular people to talk about what the hell going on out there in them streets. And you don't have to be from Houston or LA. You can be from anywhere around the country. We know all of y'all are watching. So let's try that this week, and let's see what we come up with, man. because it's just some regular Joes that's been going through what they going through, man. And I'm sick of it. So I'm gonna end the show with one of my favorite instrumentals, the Ghetto Boys, Crooked Officer. Say, man, it's the hottest show in social media for a reason. Say, I got my good friend Donovan, Saadiq, Demetra, Kaye, and I am the 5-star general. Say, tomorrow night, man, these people trying to kill your kids in them schools. You talking about sending your kids back to school with this pandemic? They waiting on you. I hope you got your burial insurance ready. But as usual, we couldn't do this without y'all. Tomorrow morning I leave for Oklahoma City, and I'm going to be down there in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The Trump rally. I'm going to kick it with my peoples, man. Say till tomorrow, man. I see y'all.
Mr. Officer, put it on, put it on. Why you wanna put me in the car? See, I've been living in this neighborhood for too long. For you to try to change things coming from my home. Mr. Officer, put it on, put it on. Why you wanna put me in the car? See, you've been messing with brothers like myself for too long. Why don't you drop your pistol in your bed? Let's get it on.